Dear brothers and sisters, I wish to welcome you to the solemnity of the most holy body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ, which we call the Corpus Christi. Today, we have in our gospel passage a miracle that we can find in all the four gospel accounts, and that is the feeding of the 5,000 or the multiplication of the loaves and, of course, the fish. Now, for us to understand the context of this miracle, let me also say clearly that this is a miracle that took place in history, in time. It is not some sort of, you know, um, cooked up story whereby Jesus influenced people to become generous, as many interpreters will put it. No, this is an actual miracle that took place. Now let's look at the background of this miracle. The first background is that before this time, Jesus sent his disciples and apostles on a mission. So they just returned from that mission and they needed a quiet time, they needed a private time to speak to Jesus, to give him record of what they have done during their mission. It was in this time that they wanted to spend a quiet private time that the people invaded their privacy. Now, ordinarily, if you are celebrating, maybe you want to spend some time with your family or with your friends in the resort or somewhere very quiet, and suddenly some persons invade your privacy, how will you react? Of course, it can be very irritating, but we see that Jesus reacted in a different way. He did not get irritated, rather, he welcomed them. He welcomed them. And this is what happens, in the life of Christ when Jesus becomes our Eucharist. So Jesus welcomes everyone. If you look at this miracle, you understand that everyone who was present in that event received the loaf, received also the fish. So it was for everyone, which means that the Holy Eucharist is for everyone. The Holy Eucharist is given for everyone, but we are the ones who will dispose ourselves in the best way, in the most proper way, in the most worthy way to receive Jesus. Jesus has given his body and blood to everyone, but we are the ones through our actions and through the way we live our life, that will be our response to this invitation to everyone. So, noting from this background, we understand that Jesus will never feel irritated no matter the way we come to him, no matter our past, no matter the mistakes we may have made in the past, or no matter our shortcomings or limitations. There's never a time that Jesus will ever get irritated that you come to him or that I come to him. So everyone is welcome. Jesus accepts everyone. Jesus accommodates everyone. That's the first thing that we see, that he never got irritated because the people invaded his privacy. In fact, he spent time, the Bible said he spent time teaching the people and also ministering healing upon all those who were sick. So the first thing he did was to welcome them, to accept them, to accommodate them. Then the second thing he did was that he started teaching them. After he taught them, which is to empower them. Teaching is very fundamental because through teaching, people are empowered, people are educated. There are some potentials that you may have, you never thought you have them, but when someone is able to educate you or lead you to realize the potentials, inherent right there in you, you begin to blossom. So the second thing he did was to teach them, to empower them. Then the third thing he did was to cure those who were sick. There are many of us who are sick emotionally, physically, mentally, psychologically, financially. We are all sick because nobody is perfect. And Jesus comes to us to give us, to nourish us, to enrich us, to make us to become the best of who we are. The other thing I like us to reflect on is the personality of Jesus being very approachable. There is a kind of understanding, there's a kind of mutual, relationship, there's a kind of intimacy between Jesus and his disciples. Usually, a servant cannot walk up to the master to tell the master what he should do. But we see in this scenario, in this event, that it was the disciples of Jesus who came to Jesus when the day was almost coming to an end. It was the disciples who came to Jesus and said to him, "Dismiss these people because the day is coming to an end. Let them go somewhere else and buy something." If Jesus was not friendly with his disciples, they will not have the gut or the impetus to come to the master and say, dismiss your visitors. That Jesus was a very friendly and approachable master. For the apostles and disciples, it was an impossible case to find something to give to all the multitude. Of course, the place was a deserted place. But for Jesus, everything is possible. Even in the moments of our hopelessness, Jesus can still restore hope to us. It was a deserted place, a place where nobody was living, but Jesus was looking at the positive part of that place. And that's why when they finished telling him to send the people away, he said to them, give them something yourself to eat. You can imagine what was going on in the minds of the apostles and disciples. They will be thinking, this guy may be crazy. How can he be asking us to give all these people something to eat? What does he mean by that? Let me say clearly that this is a mandate from Jesus. Give them something yourselves. The church is supposed to be the mother of all. The church is supposed to be the one who will nourish her children. The church is supposed to be the one to enrich her children, especially spiritual feeding, spiritual nourishment, spiritual enrichment. And that's why Jesus said to the apostles and disciples, give them something yourselves. Because sometimes we are in the church and we are always thinking that we as a church will always be receiving from people. We as a church should also learn how to give to other people. In this miracle also we see the power of transformation, that Jesus transformed what the ordinary people thought to be insignificant to become significant. In the eyes of the disciples, 5 loaves and 2 fish was quite insignificant. But for Jesus, he looked at it, and because he could change our situation, he can change whatever ugly situation we are passing through now into a beautiful situation. Even from sickness to health, from sorrows to happiness, from sadness to joy, from violence to peace. So Jesus can transform. And that's why for the apostles and disciples, it was so small. 5 loaves and 2 fish, they were so small, but for Jesus, he could see the potential even in that which we consider to be insignificant. He saw that it is possible to make that. That's one thing I like you to take note of in this whole scenario, in this whole event, is the fact that Jesus is concerned about our physical needs, our temporal needs, and also our spiritual needs. He started actually with the spiritual needs. Now, the things that we may consider to be non-physical, teaching them, and other things. But now he thinks about the integral need of the human person. Because if you are hungry and somebody is preaching to you, sometimes you may not understand what the person is talking about. So Jesus takes note of our personal, individual situation. And that's why he thought about feeding these people. So Jesus is concerned about your situation. He is concerned about your marriage, your relationship, your business, your profession, your vocation, everything that concerns you. Jesus is concerned about that. So this miracle is a prefiguration of the Holy Eucharist. And in the Holy Eucharist, Jesus satisfies us. As you can see, the people ate and ate and ate, and they were nourished, they were enriched, they were satisfied, and there was still some, remaining, leftovers. So Jesus is capable of feeding us. Jesus is capable of satisfying our hunger, especially the deepest hunger in us. The deepest hunger in us is not satisfied by material things or physical things. No, the deepest hunger in us can only be satisfied through our Lord Jesus Christ, and that is through the union we have with Jesus. And that's why the Holy Eucharist is very, very important for our personal, individual satisfaction. Because in the Holy Eucharist, we become one with Christ. That is a union, that's a relationship between humanity and divinity. And the person who makes that possible, the person who makes such a relationship possible, is our Lord Jesus Christ through the gift of the Holy Eucharist. As we celebrate this solemnity of the Corpus Christi, let us ask our Lord Jesus Christ to give us the grace to really become Christocentric, that the Eucharist that we receive every time, in every Mass, will really influence our thoughts, our words, our actions, so that we may become another Christ in our lives, in our families, in our relationships, in everywhere we find ourselves. As Christians who are communicants, we should learn to welcome everyone. The Holy Eucharist is all about communion, it's all about fellowship, it's all about friendship, it's all about relationship. May God bless you.